Good day, guys. How are you? How are you? How are you? So, welcome again to this another episode of our video lecture. And this time, we will be looking into the neo-psychoanalytic theories of personality. Okay, so just to um, make you be reminded about our previous discussion. So, last time, if you could still recall, we zeroed in on the psychoanalytic theory of Simon Freud. Okay, and so uh, now we look into some of his followers, no, some of Freud's followers, no, who actually have agreed at some points, no, on his psychoanalytic theory, no, but who made their own theory, no, basically because of some concepts, no, which Freud had advocated, no, to which they opposed. Okay, so we call them neo-Freudians or the neo-psychoanalytic theorists. Okay, so who are these in the first place, and what particular concepts of Freud, no, did they negate or did they oppose? Um, in when we look into the other side of the coin, will also be finding out, no, the differences, no, of the psychoanalytic theory and the neo psychoanalytic theory. Okay, and I think that's part of our um, objective, no, for this particular lesson. Aside, of course, from the discussion of the specific theories of these neo-Freudians. Okay, so um, we look into the next slide. I'm not so sure as to how would I navigate it, if it will be in full screen, but I hope you could see through, or you could at least read the text, no, given its font size. So as for our learning objectives, we have four. Of course, I made mention that in this particular lecture, we are to determine how different is the psychoanalytic theory of Freud to the neo-psychoanalytic theories. So, in the subsequent slides, you'll find out later how different are they in terms of concepts. Okay? Another is that specifically we will be discussing the different theorists. No, we have that of Carl Jung, Alfred Adler, Karen Horney, Eric Fromm, and Eric Erikson. So these are the major neo-Freudians. Okay, and in particular, we will be looking into the uh, these theories in relation to personality. Okay, so how do they perceive what's the nature of personality based on these theories? And it is also hoped that through this discussion, we will be specifically um, demonstrate, no? You could be able to demonstrate uh, the applications of the different concepts espoused by the neo-psychoanalytic theorists, no, particularly on how these concepts are applied to real life scenarios. Okay, so we could concretize these through the reflection task and even the application task that will be assigned to you later. Okay. And last, we will be through this lecture, it is hoped that you could be able to analyze how cultural factors no influence personality development. Okay, because that is one of the um, highlights or one of the core of the Neo-Freudian theories, no? That if there are factors that are contributory to personality development, no, this would be social and cultural factors. Okay. Now, first things first. Um, when we talk about neo-psychoanalytic theory, this is otherwise known as neo-Freudians. No? So the word neo means a new or a revived form of. No? So these theories are basically the revived form or the revisions, the revised um, theories, no? The revision of that, the psychoanalytic theory of Freud, no? So the word neo is added to make us understand that these psychoanalysts, no, are the ones who revived Freud's psychosexual theory or Freud's psychoanalytic theory. Okay? So they are also considered as neo-Freudians. So these neo-Freudians generally agreed with Freud, no, that childhood experiences matter. Okay? So if you remember in our discussion on Freud's theory, we mentioned that uh, all our experiences, memories, no, all those that had taken place, no, or that happened or that occurred during the formative or foundational years, no, would always have implication on our adult personality, no? So the child is the father of the man, okay? So who we are at the moment and who we will become are byproducts of what had happened or what had taken place in the past, no? So to this, the Neo-Freudians also agree, no? However, no, there is a de-emphasis on sex, no? Because again, we always label, no, Freud's theory as highly sexist, no? Kaya nga siya psychosexual stage. Okay? So the emphasis on the erogenous zones, no? The de-emphasis on this particular concept. Okay? Instead, focusing or highlighting um, contextual factors. No? So, the environment, the role of the social environment, and the effect of culture on personality. Okay? So, this is the highlight, no, in the Neo-Freudian uh, theories. Okay? But again, the succeeding slides would more likely give us details as to how different is the psychoanalytic to that of the neo-psychoanalytic. Okay? So, what are some of the differences? Okay, now let's look into the first thing. No? The first one, as you could see on screen, the focus on unconscious versus social factors. Okay? So I know you could easily recall that the one of the concepts which was espoused by Freud is the concept of the unconscious. Okay? And so this is lesser um, this could this could be the listing you could see, no, in the Neo-Freudian theory, okay? Because again, the one that is emphasized is the social factor. Okay? So you could see in here that as to the psychoanalytic theory of Freud, there is an emphasis on the unconscious mind, no? And in fact, Freud posited, no, that repressed desires, which are um, being pushed into the unconscious, no? Particularly the eros, no? If you recall, no? Sexual and aggressive instincts, no? So yung life instinct, no? um, and even death instinct, no, eros and thanatos, no, significantly shape behavior. So, those that are in the unconscious are important matters, no, which are contributory to the kind of person that we are. That's according to Freud. He believed that much of who we are is driven by the unconscious forces and conflicts, no. However, for Neo-Freudians, no, specifically Alfred Adler and Karen Horney, they shifted the focus towards social and cultural influences on personality. Okay? And I think even Carl Jung, okay? So the role of religion, the role of culture, okay, on personality. They argued that interpersonal relationships and societal factors play critical role in psychological development, thereby de-emphasizing the centrality of sexual instincts in favor of broader social dynamics. Okay? So the highlight or the center, no, of um, uh, which, no, in when we talk about matters on personality development, no, is on social and environmental factors and not the unconscious. That's according to the Neo-Freudians. Now, as to their view of human nature, Freud's perspective is that um, there's somewhat a pessimistic view of human nature, no? Because individuals are seen as id-driven. Okay? So it is as if that, oh well, wala tayong magagawa kasi nature ng tao yan eh. Id-driven ang tao, no? So para bang ganun ang pananaw ni Freud. Okay? So the dynamics between the ego um, and the superego, between the id and the superego, um, mediated by the ego, no? Seems to be um, very, very, what do you call this? It seems to be what is pictured, no, when we talk about the nature of human beings. Okay? um, that when it comes to our actions, our behaviors, and even in terms of our decisions, it is as if that um, we are id driven. We there or most of the time, no, um, we are being influenced um, by well um, these instincts, no, um, um, as um, as manifested by our id, no? And that's the reason why we resort to what to defense mechanisms, no, particularly to maintain the equilibrium, no, for the ego, no, um, when the super ego actually bothers the ego, no, because of what? Because of um, following or because of um, its um, yung pagkampi niya kay id, no? So that's how human nature is according to Freud, no, that you see we are id driven individuals. Okay? So it seems like, oh, yun nga, yung babalik tayo dun sa nabanggit ko na wala tayong magagawa, eh, nature ng tao yan. Para bang kapag meron kang nagawang hindi maganda dahil ang nanaig ay yung id mo, laging ang defense mo na lang is, well, that's human nature, no? So that's why it seems to be a pessimistic view, no? Okay. What about the Neo-Freudian? No? So in contrast, Neo-Freudians generally adopted a more optimistic view, no? Emphasizing personal growth, self-actualization, and the potential for positive change within individuals. No? So it seems that there is an introduction of what this view that well, this may be your nature, but you see there is something that you can do about it. So it's your decision in the first place, no? So there will always be potentialities for change, no? So as to how, no, perhaps we look into the details of each of the theories, uh, and we come to relate it to this view of human nature. Okay. Then we also have the concept of the unconscious. Again, this I think is highlighted in the Freudian in the theory of Freud. Okay. Neo-Freudians, on the other hand, expanded the concept, no? So, hindi ko sinasabing wala sa kanila ang nag-explain ng unconscious. Wala sa mga Neo-Freudians ang hindi inakap ang konsepto ng unconscious, no? But there is what an elaboration on this unconscious, in particular on the compositions or the layers, no? Kumbaga parang in-expand nila yung understanding natin ng unconscious, no? Carl Jung, for example, no, made mention about personal and collective unconscious. Okay? So, ayan. Yan. For example, Carl Jung introduced the idea of collective unconscious, which encompasses shared memories and archetypes across humanity, no? So, um, if we are to ask ourselves, no, about our universals, about universals, no, so is there something common among humans um, across the world, no? So the answer here is the concept of collective unconscious, okay, which we will be discussing in a while. Okay. Now, as to therapeutic approaches, no, in the theory of Freud, uh, the methods focused on uncovering the unconscious conflicts, no? And this could be done through dream analysis and free association. Okay. However, on the Neo-Freudian therapies, no, the theorists introduced various therapeutic approaches that emphasize interpersonal relationships and social context, no? So maging sa mga therapeutic approaches ay meron ding the emphasis on the um, unconscious, no? So instead putting onto the core the role of the social context. Okay? So they often advocate for more collaborative interactions, no, between therapist and patient, recognizing the importance of empathy in therapy. Okay? So parang ano yan eh, parang somewhat in connection to the Rogerian approach, no? So, lalong-lalo na pag tinignan natin siguro yung kay Adler. Okay? Then, okay. What else? Emphasis on developmental stages, no? Remember, if you could recall, I made mention during our discussion in the theory of Freud that he was one of the first, no, theorists who introduced a stage theory, no? So, um, he proposed the psychosexual stages, Now, in the Neo-Freudian theories, among the Neo-Freudians, no, I think it's Eric Erikson, no? Yeah, so it's Eric Erikson who also made use of a stage theory, no? Specifically the psychosocial stages of development. Okay? So there is also what um an influence in this particular theory, the influence of the environment or of the society, no, social influences, no, um suggesting that development continues beyond childhood and adulthood. Kasi um kung naalala nyo yung kay Simon Freud, nag-stop siya sa adolescence, no, but Eric Erickson's is from birth to old age, no? So sabi nga nila ay from womb to tomb yung kanyang stage theory. Okay? So yun lang yung mga iilang pagkakaiba nung psychoanalytic sa neo-psychoanalytic theory. Kung mapapansin nyo, ang pinaka-bottom line niya ay yung concept nila ng unconscious. Kapag sinabing unconscious yan, um, that would be more of the Freudian, no? Um, although it appeared in the theory of Carl Jung, but when we talk about the Neo-Freudian theories, no, there is a de-emphasis on the unconscious because it's only Carl Jung actually who um, um, have talked about, no, the role of the unconscious on personality development. Okay? Now, who are the major Neophygians? No, I think I made mention who are these, and we will be discussing the theory of these individuals separately. No, for this video lecture, we will be talking about Carl Jung's analytical psychology. Okay? So for the next video lecture, we will be having the rest of the theories. But for now, we will be discussing Carl Jung's analytical psychology. So the complete name is Carl Gustav Jung. Okay? So just a backgrounder, no? Carl Gustav Jung was born in 1875 in Switzerland, no? So that's where he stayed for the rest of his life until his death, no? But definitely as to the immediate social environment, no, where he was raised, um his father was a country pastor. Okay? And he described his father as someone who is conventional and kind, but weak. As to why, there was no elaboration on the reference which I used. No? But nevertheless, no, if we look into how he was able to form his theory based on his experiences, no, so there was a disclosure that he was a um, that he is an introvert, no? And if you look into his theory, he actually have expounded on the concept of extroversion and introversion. Okay, so anyway, so even if he find his father weak, no, he respected his father, no, despite of some difficulties, no, particularly in communicating with him. Okay? Because of course of some matters siguro to which they disagree, no, particularly in matters of religion. Okay? So um, this actually led him toward an interest in religion, mythology, and occult. and the occult. No, his mother, on the other hand, for him was a powerful person. Okay, but um, he sees his mother uh, as if someone who might have suffered from emotional disturbances, no? And even him, no? Lumaki siya na si Gustav yung ay lumaki na sickly, no? In fact, during his childhood, there was a time na parang matagal siyang hindi nakapasok sa school, no, because of his being sickly. And some in the reference which I read, no, um there was a there was a assumption. There was an assumption that might be that it was during these times that Carl Gustav Jung might have suffered from childhood psychosis daw, no? But as to how factual that is, no, um, that was not probed in the literature that I've read. Okay, so he was later to describe her mother as possessing two personalities, one kind and loving, and the other harsh and aloof. No, and of course, he could not be, he would not be able to do that if not because of his encounters, no, and experiences with his mother. Okay? And this is where we are coming from, no. Kapag sinabi nating personality development, usually we look into the context, our very social context, the immediate environment where we are raised, no? And of course, that would refer to our own family. Okay? Now, Jung described his childhood as lonely and his personality as introverted. No, so this is what I was saying a while ago. So there were two brothers, no, who he had two brothers who died in infancy before he was born, and his sister was not born until he was 9. So imagine, matagal siyang nag-iisa lang, no? And hence, no, he had been used of frequently playing by himself, inventing games, and a small companion out of wood, no? So parang si Pinocchio ba, 'di ba? Parang there was a he came up with a small carving, no, na um which he used as what which he invented as part of his toys, no. So these long periods of solitude were later to find expression in his self-analysis. His psychology also reflected his predilection for being alone. So for him, maturity is defined not in terms of interpersonal relations, no, but in terms of integration or balance within the self. Okay, so um, he also uh, originally wanted to be an archaeologist but ended up as a doctor, no? Particularly um uh ano ba yan? Yeah, he chose to study medicine. Okay, so Carl Jung, um ano ba yan? Initially a follower of Freud, later broke with him and developed his own theory of personality, exploring in depth the collective unconscious. So he developed his own school of thought, which eventually came to be known as analytical psychology, emphasizing the process of analysis and integration of the various components of the psyche. No? The reason why he called this theory as analytical psychology. Okay? So, self-analysis and integration. Okay. Now, as to how he viewed personality, what is the nature and what's the structure? Okay. So, the next slides would be about the different concepts which were espoused by Carl Jung. Okay, so um, we will try to understand these concepts in relation to personality. Okay, so personality for him is what he termed as psyche. So psyche is the total personality. So when we talk about psyche, no, for Jung, that's what he referred to as the total personality. And what's this psyche? No, it refers to all psychological processes. No, so he did not make use of mental, but he made use of the word psyche to refer uh, to mean that these processes are not only mental, no, um, but but everything actually, no, which embraces the conscious and the unconscious processes, no, and so these would include our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations, our wishes, and so forth. So everything about us, um, um, we might be aware of it or not aware of it. No? It might include um, not only our emotions, but also not only our cognitions, but also our emotions, no? And even sensations. No? So that's psyche. Now, another is like Freud, he also made use of the word libido or psychic energy. No? Uh, although unlike Freud, no, who emphasized that libidinal energy, um, libidinal energy actually is often linked to the id, no, or to pleasure. Okay, so for Jung, um, libido is what he termed as an undifferentiated life energy. Okay? So it is an appetite that may refer to sexuality and to other hungers as well. Kay Freud kasi, ang direction lang ng libido or libidinal energy is sexuality, no? Pleasure, id. Okay? But for Jung, it's not only for sexuality, but also for other life energies, no? Like hunger, no? So practically everything, no? Um, when we make use of our what of when we manifest mental processes or even physiological processes, no? It manifests itself as striving, desiring, and willing. So psychic energy operates according to the principles of equivalence and entropy. It seeks a balance and moves the person forward in a process of self-realization. Okay? So um we will be discussing what self-realization is. But for now, when we talk about self-realization, no, it is as if that um, we are fulfilling what it makes us human beings. So when we do anything, no, when we think, when we sense, when we perceive, when we feel, no, these are what makes us human beings, no, and while there can be challenges, no, that that would what that would um yeah, that could challenge our sense of balance, no? um it is as if that we are given the potentials, we have the potentials to actually achieve self-realization. Okay, because it is what makes us human anyway, parang ganun. So anyway, we will be looking into this concept as we move further. Okay? Now, Um, on screen is Jung's model of the psyche. So what makes up the psyche? Okay? Or what makes up personality? Okay? If there is what we call ego and superego for Freud, okay? For Jung, okay, sabi dyan, he conceived the structure of personality as a complex network of interacting systems that strive toward eventual harmony. Okay? So if you recall the dynamics between the id, ego, and superego, the id and the superego are in constant conflict mediated by the ego. And more often than not, the ego, the ego um, decides for what is pleasurable, or the ego would actually go with the id, no? And thereby um, what causing more conflicts, no? Leaving the person um, resorting to defenses or defense mechanisms, no? But for Carl Jung, the structures of personality are the ego, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. And you know what's beautiful in these different structures, no? Uh, it may be so complex. These structures may be so complex, but they interact in a way that they strive toward eventual harmony. No? So the main systems, you see it there, are the ego, the personal unconscious, and with its complexes, and the collective unconscious and its archetypes. So there are other concepts that are new to us, no? Personal unconscious, no? Um, although there is no difference of the personal unconscious to that of the unconscious by Freud. No? Okay. Complex and archetypes are new terms, and we'll try to, as much as possible, understand these terms, what these terms are. Okay? So, ego, according to Carl Jung, refers to one's conscious mind. No? So the concept of consciousness, if you recall, if we go back onto the previous slide, you could see on the model, on the figure, that the ego operates in the consciousness. So andun siya sa part na kung saan nasa consciousness siya. Okay? The personal unconscious, the archetypes, the complexes, the collective unconscious, anima and animus, and the self are in the unconscious level. Okay? So, um, what about the ego? Okay? It says here, if I as I repeat, no, that the ego refers to our conscious mind, the part of the psyche that selects perceptions, thoughts, feelings, and memories that may enter consciousness. So, ang tagasala, sasalain ng ego, no? It's the one that decides whether a certain experience or memory goes back to the consciousness for retrieval or for recall. Okay? So the ego is responsible for feelings of identity and continuity. It is through the ego that we establish a sense of stability in the way we perceive others. No? So, yung ulirat natin, ulirat, tama ba yung term ko? Yung ulirat. Yung ating mga pananaw sa mga bagay-bagay, kasama na ng mga tao sa paligid natin, no? Of course, are governed by the ego. Okay? The personal unconscious, on the other hand, is an aspect of the unconscious. Okay, so since it is within the layer of the unconscious, then these perceptions, thoughts, feelings, and memories that have been put aside, no, resides in the unconscious. But they may also be easily retrieved. No? So this includes experiences um, in our life, no, that have been repressed or forgotten. No? So it may be consciously repressed, no, because of some reasons, or we may have forgotten them because of the remoteness of the experience, no. But in the personal unconscious, if these are experiences that reside in the personal unconscious, okay, the key word there is that it could still be retrieved, or it could still be recalled, no. So experiences in the personal unconscious are grouped into clusters which Jung calls complexes. Okay? So, um, our mother complex, for example, no? Our complex of who a mother is based on how we perceive a mother, or based on how we view a mother, no, or on our own experiences, no, as a child to this mother, or even as a mother, no, are all contributory to our complex, no, to our complex of a mother. So what are complexes, no? So complexes, a complex is an organized group of thoughts, feelings, and memories about a particular concept. No, it draws new ideas into self and interprets them. So complexes have important implications for our interpersonal relationships, specifically influencing how we react towards others. No, so that if our complex toward a mother, for example, is something that is positive because of the mother being a caring, a loving, a very responsive individual, um, um, ano ba yung mga pananaw natin sa kung sino ang nanay, o sa kung ano dapat ang nanay sa atin, no? So, kung positibo yan, malamang dahil sa mga karanasan at sa iyong mga sariling pananaw ng kung sino ang isang ina, no? Uh, this will in one way or the other affect, no, your relationship with a mother, be it with your own mother, or be it with another mother or other mothers, no, around you, no? So ayan, tingnan natin my own experience of being a mother. So if you're a mother, of course, this would in one way or the other affect your perspective of who a mother is, or who a mother should be, no? So what you've read or have heard about mothering, no? So parang schema ito kung babalik, kung titingnan ninyo yung theory ni um ano pangalan niyan? John Piaget, 'di ba? Yung schema, our schema of people around us, of places, of events, or even of our own experiences, no? So our own idea, no? And this perspective or perception that we have about people around us, no, about any group or any place or event or any particular concept, no, would matter, no, particularly in terms of our attitudes, in terms of how we react, or even how we interact with these very people, or with this particular concept, no? So, pag sinabi limbawa bagyo, kasi that's the one of the most recent event that had taken place, no? So pag sinabing bagyo, yung word pa lang na bagyo, iisipin mo na, mababaha na naman kami, maglilinis na naman ako, may mga masisira na namang appliances, hassle, no? So negatibo. Malamang dahil negatibo ang iyong karanasan, no? Sa sa tuwing may bagyo. Okay? O baka naman pwede mong tingnan yung positibong aspeto. Walang pasok, mas may chance na to be with the family, or may ayuda, Ganon. Okay? So these are actually complex. This is a complex. Sabi, an organized group of thoughts, feelings, and memories. Okay? Oh. So pag sinabi yung concept ay Christmas, so what is your complex? What sort of thoughts or feelings or memories do you have about Christmas? Okay? And ang pinaka bottom line dyan ay your complexes would always have implications on your reactions or interactions toward this concept. Okay? Now, another is the collective unconscious. Yung referred to the collective unconscious as transpersonal. No? By this, he meant it extends across persons. So, yung across humanity, no? Yung universality ba naman, no? So, it consists of certain potentialities that we all share because we are human. So, this layer comprises shared memories and archetypes inherent to all humans, influencing behavior and thought patterns across cultures. Okay? So, um, if there are characteristics that we share as human beings, what are these? No? So, these are all compositions of what we call collective unconscious. No? Um, the shared memories and archetypes. Nababanggit natin, ano ba ang archetypes? Okay. So, archetypes within the collective unconscious um, lie archetypes. Archetypes or primordial images. No? So, an archetype is a universal thought, thought form or predisposition to respond to the world in certain ways. So, archetypes can never be fully known or described because they never fully enter consciousness. No? But we can actually infer from the influential archetypes which will be presented in a while in the succeeding um, slides, no? So they appear to us in personified or symbolized pictorial form and may penetrate into consciousness by means of myths, dreams, art, ritual, and symptoms. So for us to better grasp archetypes, we look into the influential archetypes as proposed by Jung. And what are these? No? We have persona, shadow, anima, anima or animus, and the self. Oh? So, persona, what is persona? If you recall, the word personality actually came from the Latin word persona. No? Which is the mask. No? So, the mask being worn by Greek actors and actresses when they actually perform on stage. No? So, um, that's literally. No? Now, figuratively, there are instances where we also wear our mask. No? Is it not that when we are in social gatherings, for example, when we are with other people or when we are with our family when we are with our when we are with others, sorry, when we are with people other than our family, no? So is it not that we wear our social mask, no? So sabi dito, persona is the social role that one assumes in society, the mask that one wears in order to adjust to the demands of the society, no? The social mask or identity one presents to the world, no? So um the reason why we put on our mask when we are in a group of people other than our family members is that we go back, no, to our need for approval or acceptance, no? Um, kapag nasa labas tayo ng ating bahay or ng ating when we are with people apart from our family, no, we tend to what? We tend to be our ideal self. No? Um, that is because of the need for approval or the need for acceptance. No? And hence, we put on our social mask. That's persona. No? So, um, um, if you're a teacher, for example, no? If you're a teacher, what's the persona of a teacher? No? Um, outside the home, you're a teacher, for instance. No? But at the same time, perhaps if you have definitely because we have multi roles. No? Um, um, you are at the same time a mother. So uh, these two these two roles have different demands, no? And therefore um, may what may elicit or may you may manifest, no? um, uh, what different persona. So but remember, in Carl Jung's theory, no, it's integration. No? The key word he made mention is integration, unifying. How we could unify all of these structures, no, to make us an integrative individual. Okay, so the shadow represents the repressed or hidden aspects of oneself. No? So parang um, we have dark sides, parang ganun, no? So it encompasses those unsocial thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that we potentially possess and other characteristics that we do not accept, no? So when we are with our real self, um, there are weaknesses and flaws, no, that we could hardly accept, no? Um, in terms of perhaps characteristics or even in terms of the um, the skills that or the potentials that we have. So it is the opposite side of the persona in that it refers to those desires and emotions that are incompatible with our social standards and ideal personality. So it is as if that when we talk about persona, no, we are presenting our ideal self, no, with all the strengths that we have, with all the beauty that we have, no, because this is where the society, would probably give us the approval that we need. Yung shadow naman is more of the real you, with your flaws, with your weaknesses, no? And even with those characteristics that you could hardly accept or that you would want to deny. No? So, um, bakit kaya pag lumabas tayo, for example, we even put on makeups and have concealers. Parang literally and figuratively yan eh, no? Um, when you when you have impurities, for instance, acne in your faces, you put on concealers. You put on whitening lotion or ano ba yun, sunscreens, no? So, why? Because we are to conceal our shadows. Okay? Now, another is the concept of anima and animus. Okay? So, it is a fact that while physiologically we may be male and females, there is within us, no? Even in our physiology, no, that um, uh, uh, we possess within us, rather, um, that of the opposite sex, no? Some characteristics or even the physiological makeup, no, of the opposite sex, no? Like the concept of anima is that it's an archetype, no? The anima archetype is the feminine side of the male psyche, no? What do you mean by that? The anima archetype is the feminine side of the male psyche. So, um, I think I made mention about um, our physiological makeup. You see, if you're a male, if you're a male, you have in you an X chromosome. Ba ang male ay XY ang chromosome, ang female ay XX chromosome, no? Um, so you share we share similarities in terms of characteristics. Even if I am a female, for instance, it does not mean that um, I don't relate with a male, no? Because in reality, I have what masculine side. That's animus. In the same manner that a male, no, could be able to relate with females, because of their anima archetype, no? So the anima archetype is the feminine side of the male psyche, no? So um in terms of not only in terms of biology but even in terms of psychological attitudes and feelings. Okay? So there are characteristics that we share in common irrespective of the sexes. The self represents the striving for unity of all parts of the personality. So it is the organizing principle of the psyche that draws unto itself and harmonizes all the archetypes. Okay? And their expressions. The self directs an orderly allotment of psychic energy so that different parts of the personality are expressed appropriately. The self, rather than the ego, is the true midpoint of personality. No? Although we made mention a while ago that it's the ego that decides, but in Jung's theory, um, um, considering the archetypes, it's the self, no, that is considered as the true midpoint of personality. Okay, another term um, used by Freud is mandala, no? So yung belief that the mandala, a concentrically arranged figure, is a symbol of the self. No, mandalas appear in the symbolism of both the East and the West, in nature and spontaneously in our doodles. No? So the mandala is there. No? It could be figures such as a circle, a wheel. No, these mandalas are what Jung had observed, no, which have currently reappeared, no, in his patient's dreams and even in the artwork, no, of uh, the East and the West cultures. It represents the self striving toward wholeness. So remember yung unified, integrative self, no? Um, it expresses, the mandala expresses or represents that the self is striving towards wholeness. Okay. Now, one of the contributions also of Carl Jung is the concept of psychological types. Okay? Yung introversion, extroversion, sensing, and thinking. No? Okay. So, what are psychological types? Um, One of Jung's contributions to the psychology of the conscious psyche is his explanation and description of psychological types, which arise out of various combinations of two basic attitudes and four functions, or ways of perceiving the environment and orienting experiences. No? So this could be understood in the context of the basic attitudes. There are two basic attitudes, introversion and extroversion, and the functions of this. So, um, extraversion, as we are all acquainted about, is an attitude in which the psyche is oriented outward to the objective world. Okay? So, introversion is the opposite. Inward naman to the subjective world. So, the extrovert tends to be more comfortable with the outer world of people and things. If we talk about characteristics of an extrovert person, they are more sociable, outgoing. They are more comfortable doing things with others, no? And the opposite of this would be the introverts, no? And if you recall on the first slides, um, Jung himself disclosed that he is an introvert, no? So he is more comfortable about concepts and ideas, doing things on his own, silent, siguro aloof in social activities. Okay? What about the functions? Okay, the functions are sensation and intuition. So they refer to how we gather data and information. So when you gather data, they make use of your senses. When you make use of your senses, you are more of a sensing type. When you make use of your intuition, no? So you try to connect um, past events with possibilities. No? Sabi dyan, you look for relationships and meanings or possibilities about past or future events. No? So we also have thinking and feeling. So do you make use of your cognition or your emotion? Okay? Ang application nito guys ay doon sa MBTI. Kung acquainted kayo sa MBTI, yung Myers-Briggs type indicator na personality test, no? Ay yung MBTI guys ay ang theoretical framework nun ay itong kay Carl Jung. Okay? So these are the psychological types you have there. The extroverted types are the thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuiting individuals. Ah, sorry. So there are specific characteristics rather, no? When you are an extroverted person, and in terms of thoughts, you tend to live according to fixed rules, repressed, baliktad ata to. Ay, hindi, tama. Repressed feelings, try to be objective but may be dogmatic in thinking. So you may just wish to look into this later as you substantiate your personality characteristics based on the psychological types. Okay? Now, another concept is the self-realization. So Jung did not outline stages in the development of personality, nor did he consider the early childhood years to be the most important ones, as Freud did. Jung suggested, however, that the self is in the process of self-realization. And what is self-realization? It is a teleological process of development that involves individuation and transcendence. So in the process, the systems of the psyche achieve their fullest degree of differentiation and are then integrated in identity with all of humanity. Okay? So ang pinaka ano lang yan is that each of us has the potential to develop into a self. Okay? That is to realize, to fulfill, and to enhance our maximum human potentials. No? Parang wala siyang pinagkaiba doon sa self-actualization ni Abraham Maslow. No? So, tao tayo because we are capable of self-realization. And when we talk about self-realization, that is the development of our potentials as human beings. Okay? And not only um, to a certain extent or level, but to a maximum level. Okay? So there was also a term individuation and transcendence. So in individuation, so para bang individuality, no? in our process of um, um, developing as human individuals, no? There is individuality, no? Meaning to say, um, there are characteristics which are um, highly unique to us. No? Um, um, on the other hand, transcendence is that while there is uniqueness, no, or individuality, no, there are those that we share since we are, of course, social beings. No, there are those that we share with other humans, no, across the world. No, in terms of characteristics, we are able to identify, no, with others, with other human beings. Okay? So, in here, of course, our goal is integration. So, sabi dyan, integration of the diverse systems of the self toward the goal of fullness and identity with all of humanity. So, for Jung, individuation does not mean individualism, but rather fulfilling one's own specific nature and realizing one's uniqueness in one's place within the whole. Okay? So, um, yun yung sinasabi niya kanina na um, while while we are in a group, no, there is still is possibility for us to realize our uniqueness. Okay? So, in the process of transcendence, a deeper self or essence emerges to unite a person with all of humanity and the universe at large. Okay? So, this is an ongoing process that we actually do across the stage of development. Okay? Now, believing that the spiritual is an essential requirement of our quest for wholeness. So, he actually investigated the spiritual. Jung, no, was not fearful of investigating the spiritual. Okay? So, yung searching for meaning natin as we search yung kabuuan ng ating pagkatao, kasama doon yung spirituality. No? At walang kinalaman ang relihiyon. No? In fact, nandyan yun. Okay? So, the search for a meaning or for a power beyond the self rather than adherence to a particular religion. Okay? So, in fact, yung self-archetype is the God within. So, para bang um, it is a search of your it is a search within. No? I don't know, but if we look unto, di ba, kung sino man sa inyo acquainted sa understanding the self, kasama kasi doon yung um, uh, perspective ni Saint Augustine. No? So, ang kay Saint Augustine is that the very purpose or the very essence of the self is its union with its creator, and the belief that since the self is created by God, no, the God who is the source of all goodness, since the self is created in the image and likeness of God, no, then the self is also good in all aspects. So, merong kabutihan, there is, sabi dyan, yung reminds us that we must take responsibility for the transformation of our God images. No? So, our longing for the spiritual must be satisfied in a loving, life-affirming, and constructive quest for self-understanding that goes beyond the rational and includes the transformative intuition. Di ba? Napakalalim ng kanyang pagpapakahulugan ng paghahanap natin ng kabuuan ng ating pagkatao. Okay? So if we look on the applications of Jung's theory in psychotherapy and in assessment. No? Sabi niya, Jung viewed emotional disturbance as a person's attempt to reconcile the contradictory aspects of personality. One side of the psyche, such as the conscious, adaptive, social persona, may be exaggerated at the expense of the darker, unconscious aspects. Okay? So, if there would be a disintegration or a contradiction of these aspects of personality, then there could be emotional disturbance. For Jung, it is the insistence of the undeveloped part of the personality on being heard and realized. So for Freud, a neurosis represents the return of the repressed. Diba? So if there is a repression, no, that could that could what um, that could be addressed, no? Um, if we cull the unconscious and we surface, we bring out what is repressed, no? On the other hand, yung insists that it is that neurosis actually is brought about by an undeveloped part of the personality, no? It is difficult to describe Jung's methodology, although this is one of the weaknesses that when it comes to psychotherapy, Freud mentioned about free association and dream analysis. But for Jung, there was no such specific method, no? Because yun nga, siguro yung there's no one size that fits all. Parang ganun yun eh, no? So he maintained that no one approach is suitable for everyone. It depends upon your own story. It depends upon your own context. No? Okay. What else? In interpreting dreams, yung made use of the method amplification rather than the method of free association. So in free association, each dream element is the starting place for a chain of associations. No, parang ano yun eh, parang sentence completion, no? But in amplification, one focuses repeatedly on the element and gives multiple associations to it. So the dream is taken exactly as it is with no precise effort to distinguish between its manifest and latent contents. No? Kasi these are terms actually used by Freud in his dream analysis, manifest and latent contents. Okay? So, ayan. Then in terms of assessment, ayan, so the use of word association test, no, was first experimented by Carl Jung. And this was later on expanded, no, by some psychologists as well. Okay? We have yung kay Rorschach, no? Herman Rorschach, who developed the Rorschach ink blood test, and by Henry Murray, who developed the thematic apperception test. No, they were all inspired by the heavily influenced by Jung's theory, and also MBTI. No, kung di pa ninyo if you're not acquainted of the MBTI, meron naman kayong subject na psychological assessment, no? For sure, this will all be introduced to you. Or you may just Google if you want to substantiate actually your knowledge on this. Okay? Ayan. So this would be in doing your reflection task, 'di ba? Kasi that is mandatory. Please include this particular questions. I will be taking a screenshot of this and send it to your GC. So I think that's all for the theory of um, Carl Jung. Okay? Till the next theory. So the next theory would be Alfred Adler, which I will be sharing to you again through a video lecture, or should we be given time later through uh, asynchronous session. So that would be all for today. Thank you for being with me.